The first body was discovered before sunrise. Kojo Mensah had worked at the mine for 14 years. He was the kind of man who arrived early, before the machines roared to life, before the dust rose from the earth. On that cold morning, as he walked toward Shaft 3 with a steaming cup of tea in his hand, he noticed something unusual. The lights in the underground loading bay were still on. That never happened. The night shift had ended hours earlier. Kojo stepped closer. The metallic smell of the mine, mixing with something else, something sour and unsettling. Then he saw it. A pair of boots sticking out from behind a stack of ore containers. The cup slipped from Kojo's hands. By the time the security alarm echoed through the compound, the entire mine would be plunged into a mystery that would expose greed, betrayal, and a crime planned with chilling precision. The Prosperity gold mine, located several kilometers outside the city, was one of the region's most profitable mining operations. Every week, tons of gold-bearing ore were processed and transported under tight security. Or at least, that was what everyone believed. Security protocols were strict. Cameras covered most corridors. Armed guards escorted gold shipments. Employees passed through metal detectors every shift. But sometimes, the greatest threat doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. Daniel Owusu was the mine's logistics supervisor. He was respected, calm, and extremely reliable. For 6 years, Daniel had been responsible for coordinating the transportation of gold concentrate from the processing plant to the refinery. He knew the schedules. He knew the routes. He knew exactly how much gold left the mine each week. But Daniel also knew something else. He knew the system had blind spots, and he had been studying them for years. It began with numbers that didn't quite match. Small discrepancies in shipment weights. Nothing dramatic. A few grams missing here. A few grams there. At first, management blamed measurement errors, moisture content in the ore, or natural processing losses. But the discrepancies slowly grew larger. Grams became ounces. Ounces became kilograms. Yet, nothing appeared suspicious on camera. Security reports showed no breaches. Every shipment left the facility sealed and documented. Someone inside the operation was quietly bleeding the mine dry, and Daniel Owusu knew exactly how to do it. Daniel discovered a flaw in the ore sampling system. Before gold concentrate was transported, samples were taken for quality testing. The samples were stored in sealed containers before being sent to the lab. Daniel realized something important. Those containers were rarely checked again after the samples were logged. So he created a quiet system of theft. Using a small group of trusted workers, Daniel would secretly swap sample containers with nearly identical ones that contained gold-rich concentrate. The real samples were removed and melted down later using equipment hidden in an abandoned maintenance shed outside the main compound. Each week, a small amount of gold disappeared, too small to raise alarms. But over time, the stolen gold accumulated into millions of dollars worth. The operation ran smoothly for nearly 3 years, until someone discovered the truth. Kwame Badu was a junior technician working the night shift in the processing plant. He was new, young, curious. One night, while reviewing sample records, Kwame noticed something strange. 2 containers had identical serial numbers. That shouldn't have been possible. Kwame began digging through shipment logs, comparing entries late into the night. The deeper he looked, the more irregularities he found. And then he saw something that terrified him. Every suspicious shipment had been approved by the same person, Daniel Owusu. Kwame printed the records. He planned to report everything the next morning. But Daniel found out. Security footage later showed Daniel entering the processing plant long after his shift had ended. He wore a reflective vest and helmet like any worker. No one questioned him. Inside the loading bay, he confronted Kwame. Witnesses later said raised voices echoed down the tunnel. Kwame refused to stay quiet. He told Daniel he was reporting everything to management. Panic replaced Daniel's careful planning. Years of stolen gold, millions of dollars, all about to collapse. In the darkness of the loading bay, Daniel grabbed a heavy steel wrench from a nearby toolbox. Moments later, Kwame lay motionless on the concrete floor. Daniel's plan had always been meticulous, but murder had never been part of it. Now, he needed to hide what he had done. Using a forklift, Daniel moved Kwame's body behind the ore containers, hoping the early morning machinery noise would delay discovery. Then he wiped down the wrench and slipped out through a service tunnel rarely used by workers. But he made one critical mistake. He forgot about the maintenance camera at the tunnel entrance. The camera had been inactive for months due to poor internet connectivity. But that night, it had been repaired. When the police arrived, the mine shut down operations. Investigators reviewed every piece of security footage, hours of recordings, endless corridors. Then they saw Daniel entering the processing plant late at night and leaving alone. The footage raised immediate suspicion. As detectives dug deeper, the shipment discrepancies finally made sense. The theft, the cover-up, the murder, everything connected back to Daniel Owusu. Daniel attempted to flee the country 2 days later. Authorities intercepted him at the airport. Inside his luggage were gold bars stamped with unofficial markings, crude, uneven, clearly not processed by the official refinery. When investigators searched the abandoned maintenance shed outside the mine, they discovered the hidden melting equipment and dozens of gold ingots. The total value of stolen gold was estimated to exceed $18 million. The courtroom was silent as prosecutors laid out the evidence: financial records, shipment logs, video footage, and the final piece, Kwame's printed report, still sitting on the desk where he had been working that night. A report that would cost him his life. Daniel Owusu was convicted of murder, large-scale theft, and organized fraud. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Sometimes the most dangerous criminals are not the ones who break into a company. They are the ones who already hold the keys. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping true crime content. What would you have done if you were in Kwame's position? Report immediately or stay silent. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take.